grid where you have your learning outcomes and then your assessment evidence. Yeah? And it allows you to then, in these boxes, you just write down what assessment evidence relates to what outcome. Or say assessment evidence 1, which might be, say, your blog, that might relate to...
So you write the learning outcomes on the left?
Yeah, as a column down, and then assessment evidence.
So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Here, presentation of project proposal 6 weeks. Well, you need to identify where's that situated. So, or what does that relate to? So that relates to the project proposal relates to developer project proposal. So it relates to the number 1.
So just take that out and then, yeah.
Yeah, it possibly helps you relate to number 4 in terms that you might actually look at your original project proposal, look at where you are now and discuss those differences, put that in your blog. That will be an evaluation and present your project. So it might actually tie into that. So the presentation of the project proposal for 6 weeks could in effect have an impact on that one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Is it going to be good on
you don't necessarily need to do this. It's not necessarily something I'm looking for, but it might be a way of helping you begin to organise what information you've got. Because you'll have so much information just in all the things that you've done.
What's the difference between a matrix and a grid?
spelling?
Spelling, yeah.
Right, good answer.
One was a film, and there was a film called The Grid.
Yeah, the TV series.
Andy, I have
That's
a
it,
question
the film
about...
and the TV series.
Yeah, there was a difference.
Yeah, I have a question about the learning outcome.
Yeah.
Sometimes my outcome is not related to the final outcome directly. It's always...
I don't think that matters. I mean, what...
Is there not somewhere in there that says that you should have multiple outcomes, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, each learning outcome, each of these, there's how many are there? 6 learning outcomes. And each of these needs to be evidenced with more than one piece of evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah? So, for example, evaluate and present your project. Well, you could argue that's the blog, for example. But that wouldn't be the only time you use the blog. Be aware of your own personal and professional development. That would be in your blog, because that would be your reflective writing. That would be where you're sitting down saying, right, okay, I've done this worked and this didn't work. So that would be blog as well. Yeah? But what we need you to do is kind of be a bit more specific than just say blog, essay. You know, it needs to be a bit more kind of detailed. But so the idea is that so be aware of your own personal and professional development. So you might want to talk about the show down at the House Gallery. Talk about showing work in the midpoint review. So there are kind of 3 or 4 things that relate to that particular learning outcome.
My plan was to write maybe like 500-600 words, like 100 words on each outcome, and then in that word explain how I think I've kind of achieved it, and then put links to the various...
And just link it through to the blog, yeah. So you make the blog do the work for you, effectively, because hopefully by writing in the blog as you've gone along, you've actually kind of evidenced and you've discussed things en route, and it's very easy for you to then all that just reference it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of it does the work itself.
But I'm just saying, an outcome images that just random images, is there any outcome that's
Okay, then I think here, articulate a clear understanding of methodology and context in your creative practice. And you could argue
yeah.
in context,
Yeah.
In terms that it might be dealing with, and you could argue with methodology, in terms that it might be exploring a way of actually compositing
Yeah.
imagery, for example, even if that imagery doesn't necessarily relate to the final
Cool.
product.
Yeah.
Attractive.
But you could argue that actually by putting this together, I'm actually exploring visually how
so
it's
nice.
how it's going to look.
Yeah.
Of
Cool.
Ireland. So nice.
Um,
Not only three.
Did you hear that?
It should be running.
No.
No, no.
Okay, so Simon was saying that he's got certain things that don't necessarily relate to his
Oh, yeah.
project in terms of images and things that he's been looking at. And I'm saying, well, if you look at learning outcome number 3, articulate a clear understanding of methodology and context in your creative practice, that those images might have been worked to perhaps explore the content of the images or even just explore how images can be put together to generate a wider image that might relate to moving image or might relate to further still imagery. So even though it doesn't necessarily relate, you can sit there and Google the squares and triangles, and that might give you a sense of understanding, how you can put these things together, which you then might apply to such a surface, which is more related to outcome. But it's still valuable research. So basically everything that you've done will cover all of these things. You've done, nobody is missing anything. But what you need to do is decide what it is that you're going to put in the show. And we are looking, I would rather see a kind of more detail. If you look at some of the examples from the ones last year, they're quite minimal in terms of stuff that's evidence. I'm actually quite happy to see it quite heavily evidenced. Makes it harder for us because there's more to go through, but I think it kind of shows that you've got a greater, you've got to demonstrate to us that you've got a really good understanding of what these learning outcomes are and how you've achieved them.